Up next is Greg Bulmash. Did I say your name right? Bulmash. I said it right. Great. I haven't met you yet, Greg, but I checked out your bio. I see you're coming from Cloud City in Seattle. Greg works with Amazon, and he's going to be sharing with us something that's super into my wheelhouse right now. When I started with Adobe, part of my job was to figure out what was going on in mobile. And one of the things that we learned really quickly is that people have been moving off of apps and into messaging. And it looks like there's a little bit of a trend in the world right now, not only in messaging, but towards voice. And so the two big players there right now are Amazon's Echo and Google Home. So today, I think, and I don't know for sure, but based on the description, I'm going to take a wild guess that we might be looking at building voice apps using some Amazon tech. Boom. Give it up for Greg, who's quickly getting mic'd up.
All right, so I am here to talk about building a multi-platform voice app with Cordova or PhoneGap. A little bit about me. This month marks the 22nd anniversary of my first website, which was in 100K of space at Earthlink, if anybody remembers that. And then I also had a joke I wrote in 1997, become an urban legend, and has been traveling around the web for 20 years. Most recently, George Takei posted it to Facebook last year. This is to say, I've been doing web stuff long enough that I have bad habits that are old enough to drink. So if you don't like my code, I do apologize. Okay, so they want that there, but I'll just have to hold things up. Anyways, so let's move along. How did all this start? So I am an evangelist for Login with Amazon, which is Amazon's consumer login as a service. Hundreds of millions of customers can log into your website or app using their Amazon credentials. That's not that new or exciting, so I started looking at what I could find at Amazon that integrated with that would make it more exciting, and found out that you can use it as an identity provider for Amazon Web Services using Amazon Cognito, and then they released Lex earlier this year. And that is basically the Amazon Alexa AI unbound from the Alexa ecosystem. So rather than like writing an Alexa skill, which is like writing an app for a device and putting it in an app store, you basically just have this AI that lets you do all this voice recognition stuff outside of that ecosystem. And so this app was born. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I made, then show you how I made it, and then show you how to make it. So let's just go here real quick and see if we can bring this up on the screen. So, of course, we have to have the obligatory login with Amazon. I've already logged in here, so it'll just ask for permission to proceed. And I'm going to have to move this mic down so that we can hear my laptop. But basically, we just have a little button. It's like a walkie-talkie. And this is written in PhoneGap, and I'll show you this on mobile in a moment. So we're going to do the order flowers demo, which is one of the things that they really just start you out with when you're learning Lex. So let's make sure this works.
I didn't understand you. What would you like to do?
I had my finger over the thing too quick. Order flowers.
What type of flowers would you like to order?
Daisies.
What day do you want the daisies to be picked up?
Thursday.
Pick up the daisies at what time on October 12th, 2017?
4.
Okay, your daisies will be ready for pickup by 4 on October 12th, 2017. Does this sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, your daisies will be ready for pickup by 4 on October 12th, 2017. Does this sound okay?
Yes. So anyways, at this point, that yes would have launched an action that would actually start fulfilling the order. But we don't actually have a back end with a flower shop on this at the moment. So the other thing I'm going to show you, and let me get Visor up and running here. Where's my mouse? Oh, yes. Well, I don't have that, but I'm sure some flower store is going to get a, yeah. Oh. Oh, I doubt last. I mean, come on. Amazon keeps on surprising everybody, don't they? Okay, there we go. So here's my phone. I am moving it over to the big screen. There we go. And that's my youngest there. And we'll log in and we should be, whoa, hold on. I think this is not, what's going on? Okay, demo gods are messing around with me. So anyways, we're gonna go back and there is something happening. I'm going to unplug Visor because I think it's messing with my phone. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. That's not what I wanted. So I'll just, okay. Something is happening right now that I don't know why. It was working on the phone this morning, but I did not sacrifice a chicken to the demo gods, so there we go. We'll just do the other intent here on this screen. This is my 8-year-old's favorite intent. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Arch.
Arch who?
Bless you.
Ha ha ha. That is very funny. Are you a professional comedian?
No.
Well, you should be.
And that is like, it sounds so sarcastic, doesn't it? So let's get back to our presentation. So we go, and we'll, oh, Diva. Okay. There we go. So we've demoed the Diva. Now, this is something I cut out to save time. If you want to find it, just look me up on YouTube. It's just a puppet show about how when your knock-knock intent breaks, how it can unintentionally troll the hell out of you. So setting up the Diva is pretty, it seems complex, but it's actually fairly simple. You set up login with Amazon, you set up Cognito, you get your AWS Lex intent set up, and then you set up Cordova. So we're going to run through this pretty quick because we're running short on time here. So setting up login with Amazon, you go to developer.amazon.com. You sign up for an account or you sign into your developer account. You go to the Login with Amazon tab there, and you build yourself a security profile. Once you've set your security profile, you see that little drop-down menu. Behind that would be a gear symbol. You'll go into your security profile, get your security profile ID, your client ID. You don't need your client secret for this particular app, but you will need your client ID and security profile ID. And then here, you're going to need to set your allowed return URL because you have to send it a return URL. I'll show you that it really doesn't matter. You can make it example.com. But the origin URL is not that important at this time. So you've got the basics of your login with Amazon set up. Now you're going to go to Cognito, and from the AWS console, pick Cognito. You will first, let's see here, I believe, oh, that's lovely. You're going to manage your federated identities, and you'll start a wizard to create a new identity pool. And this is pretty simple. You'll choose the Amazon tab right there, and you will give it the security profile ID as the app ID. I'm sorry they didn't coordinate with everybody to use the same terminology across both things. And then you're pretty much done there. You will now create your roles to allow that Cognito identity pool to access the different services that you want it to be able to access. And for this, we're going to get access to, we're going to have the authenticated role be able to access Lex. Here we go. Oh, man. I'm going through this so fast, and yes. So you'll create a policy that will allow it to access Lex. Add it there. We're just going to do run bots only. There's actually an API for Lex that allows you to actually create bots on the fly, but we're going to go through how to create a preset bot. And so a bot is sort of like an Alexa skill. It can have multiple intents in it, so you can have multiple scripts that one bot can run, and we'll get into that for right here. You're going to go to the Amazon Lex part of the AWS console, and here's the order flowers. We've given it the name DivaBot because we had both the order flowers and the knock knock joke in there. We just started out with the basic order flowers intent. And we'll scroll down, we'll get to here, last but not least. I'm not doing this for 13-year-olds or younger. My 8-year-old does use it, but he's using it with a parent present, so I don't worry about COPPA. And this is one reason why I screen capped everything, because this will take like 3 minutes of spinning. Then it has your sample utterances. I would like to pick up flowers. I'd like to order some flowers. Notice I just said order flowers. These are just sort of clues to the AI as to what is going to be said to it. They don't have to be precise. We'll have our slots, and then, trying to remember, yes. So we'll have our slots, flower type, pickup time. These are your prompts, and then it will get that date. And then you can use the flower type again later here as a variable. So the slot name becomes a variable for what was said to Lex. Create a custom slot. Here's, setting roses, lilies, tulips. Notice I said daisies. It doesn't have to be the exact same item. Once again, as I said, you're giving the AI prompts. You don't have to be absolutely specific. And then here's where you can set the voice. There is also an AWS API called Poly, which is just speech synthesis using these same voices, but you sort of get Poly baked in when you're using Lex. So we picked the Kendra voice, which is what you heard. And then we have to alias the bots. That way you can have a dev bot and a prod bot and work with the dev bot while the prod bot is running for other uses, and you can change that in your code. But you have to specify at least one alias to start testing. And then we can create a new intent. This is where I did the knock knock intent. And once again, so there's itch, arch, orange, banana. There are a few others that I've done, but my kid's favorite is the banana, banana, banana. That one. So. Once again, you see the slot types, and I have who is there and there is who, because when it asks who is there, then it'll say blank who. So there, that's just my own naming convention. Get to the confirmation prompts once again. So now we've gotten through, I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but we are running, I'm almost like, I think I'm over time now because ran a bit. So let's get into the actual functions here that we do in the Cordova app. So we'll download the AWS SDK for JavaScript, and this is great because you can actually go to this URL and just build a copy of the SDK with the pieces you need, not like everything in AWS. So that's very useful for keeping your code smaller. And then this is just a little version of recorder.js that I cobbled together to actually output sound in 16-bit, 16 kilohertz mono. So it makes it a lot easier to pass it on to Lex. That's the preferred audio type. Now the one thing is that I use recorder.js for the Windows version For the Cordova, for the mobile version, I use the audio input plugin because I can't actually get recorder.js to request access to the mic. I actually have to use audio input just to get that. And I accidentally tricked myself when I was first developing this app because I had used something else before Recorder.js that asked for mic access. So then Recorder.js was working on mobile because I had the mic access. And it wasn't until I actually tried to run this on a different phone that it was like, it doesn't work. So that's when I had to start working audio input. So a few more setup bits. We had our mic permissions in our XML recording permissions. We have to add our plugins, which are device, InApp Browser, and audio input. Device is just so how we recognize that we're using Windows desktop versus a mobile phone, so that we can set it to use Recorder.js versus the audio input plugin code. InApp Browser, we'll see very soon how that works. That's used for actually reaching out across the web to Amazon's authentication servers so you can do the authentication. Because basically, okay, we made the Cordova client, yes. This should be a single page application, but once again, I have bad habits that are old enough to drink. So when we get the login with that Amazon access token, the was it diva env LWA proxy is just my notation for a constant that has basically a pre-constructed REST URL that'll send the in-app browser to the Amazon authentication. So you just pop up the in-app browser, load that URL. That's going to load up the Amazon login. When it's done, it's going to send the user to whatever you specified as the return URL. But because you're controlling the browser here, this is not something you could do maliciously within a web page. But since you actually control the browser, you can say, if I've hit the return URL, then I close it and I can just extract the access token right out of the URL. Which I do. And that's some code for extracting the access token, and I throw some stuff into local storage to use as I need. Now we're going to trade the LWA token to Amazon Cognito, and this is, once again, pretty simple. You're just creating the AWS Cognito Identity Credentials object, and you're just literally like handing them the login with Amazon token. You can update the configuration, you're ready to go, and then you can use the credentials to set up the Lex runtime. And at this point, it now becomes really easy. You simply send the wave that you've captured with either the audio input or the Recorder.js using the, where is it? Yes, the post content call. That's it. That is one call. And when the audio comes back, what it'll do is it'll send you back an MPEG audio blob. It'll send you back all these different bits of data. The audio stream is going to be a U8 int array, which will be your audio blob. The dialog state, the input transcript. So what you just said, the message, what Lex said back to you, and if there's a slot that it's now eliciting an answer for or input for, what that slot is. So you get all that back, so you can actually, you don't necessarily have to have things trigger in a Lambda through Lex. You can actually say, when this comes back with the reply from Lex, I can trigger it in my app. And so what I do is I just simply turn my UNAT array into a data URL, push that data URL to an HTML audio tag as the player, as the source, play it, boom, and Lex has spoken back to us. The audio is named Walter in honor of Walter Murphy, who's a composer I like. And wrap it up with the knock knock joke. Well, we did the knock knock joke early, so we can just get that out of the way. We're done. If there's time, you can follow me at Yiddish Ninja the Tweets. That's my blog there, where I actually talk about how I tricked myself with the audio input. And I will make the slide deck with all the code in it available to the organizers. I still have to go through some approvals to put this on GitHub from Amazon. So coming eventually, sort of like the novel I started in college. So thank you very much, and that was my presentation.